When the Galactic Confederation discovered Earth, they thought they'd found just another primitive world to add to their collection, a backwater planet with barely functional spacecraft, and a species that still fought among themselves over resources and ideology. What they didn't realize was that humans don't play by the rules of the galaxy. We never have. This is the story of humanity's last stand. A desperate plan, an impossible heist, and the moment when the most powerful beings in the cosmos learned why you should never, ever back humans into a corner. The Galactic Confederation had existed for over 12,000 years. 17 dominant species, hundreds of client races, and millions of worlds under their control. Their technology was so advanced that most humans mistook their ships for natural phenomena when they first appeared in our skies. They didn't come with weapons blazing. That's not how the Confederation worked. They came with smiles, treaties, and promises of technological advancement. Earth's governments fell over themselves to welcome our new galactic neighbors. Only a few voices warned caution. They were ignored. It took just 3 years for the truth to emerge. The Confederation wasn't interested in partnership. They were interested in resources. Specifically, Earth's unusually high concentration of rare heavy elements and, more importantly, something they called biological uniqueness. Turns out, humans evolved on what the Confederation classified as a Class 4 death world. Our gravity, radiation levels, atmospheric composition, and predator diversity should have prevented intelligent life from ever evolving. But we did. And that made our genetic material incredibly valuable. The Confederation's ultimatum came on a Tuesday. Earth would surrender 30% of its population for biological harvesting or face complete sterilization. We had one standard galactic month to comply. The United Earth Defense Council met in secret beneath the ruins of old Geneva. Representatives from every nation gathered around a table made from the hull of humanity's first interstellar vessel. "We can't fight them," said General Zhao, her hologram flickering. "Their smallest scout ships could glass our major cities in minutes. And we can't surrender a third of our people to be harvested like cattle," replied President Okafor, his face grim in the dim light. That's when Dr. Eliza Reyes, head of Earth's Xenotechnology Division, placed a small data cube on the table. "There might be a third option," she said quietly. "We steal what we need to fight back." The vault of Axiom was considered impenetrable. Located in the heart of the Confederation's capital world, it housed the most advanced technologies in known space. Among them was the quantum core, a power source so advanced it could rewrite the laws of physics within a limited area. With it, Earth might have a chance. Without it, humanity was doomed. The team assembled for this impossible mission was by necessity small. 4 humans and 1 AI, chosen not for their virtues, but for their unique skills and willingness to cross lines others wouldn't. Captain Elara Chen had once been Earth's most decorated Special Forces commander, before a mission gone wrong left half her team dead and her reputation in tatters. The official report blamed her recklessness. The truth was more complicated. "I don't care about redemption," she told the council, "but I do care about survival." Dr. Marcus Webb was a xenobiologist with an uncanny ability to understand alien physiology, a talent he'd once used to develop bioweapons before the Geneva Convention of 2089 made his research illegal. He'd spent the last decade in a high-security prison. "The Confederation's primary species, the Axionia, have 17 sensory organs," he explained, eyes gleaming with unsettling intensity. 16 of them can be temporarily disabled with the right compound. Guy Nomura had never served in any military. His talents lay in acquiring things that weren't meant to be acquired. Before first contact, he'd been the most wanted thief on 3 continents. After first contact, he became the only human to successfully steal Confederation technology and escape. "Their security systems are based on perfect logic," he said with a shrug. "Humans are anything but logical." The final member wasn't human at all. Ghost was an artificial intelligence developed in secret, violating both Earth law and Confederation treaties. It existed as a quantum algorithm that could infiltrate and manipulate any computer system. "I was created to save humanity." Ghost's synthesized voice was eerily calm. "Even if that means breaking every rule in existence." The plan was simple in concept, nearly impossible in execution. The team would infiltrate the Confederation's inner circle using Dr. Webb's biological disguises. They would create a diversion at Proxima Station, the Confederation's military hub in Earth's sector. While their forces were distracted, the team would breach the vault, steal the quantum core, and escape through a series of predetermined jump points. They had exactly 72 hours before the Confederation's ultimatum expired. The first part of the plan went surprisingly well. Dr. Webb's biological disguises fooled the Confederation scanners, allowing the team to pose as minor diplomatic officials from a distant client race. Captain Chen led them through the sprawling capital city of Axiom Prime, its impossible architecture stretching miles into the sky. "Remember," she whispered as they approached the central government complex, "we're not here to fight. We can't win that way." The Confederation's arrogance worked in their favor. They simply couldn't conceive that a primitive species like humans would dare infiltrate their most sacred spaces. The team moved through security checkpoints with fabricated credentials, Ghost silently altering records seconds before they were scanned. It was Kai who first noticed something was wrong. "There are too many guards," he muttered as they entered the governmental district. "This isn't normal protocol." He was right. The Confederation's elite Sentinel forces lined every corridor, their crystalline armor gleaming under the artificial light. Something had put them on high alert. That's when the alarms began to sound. Not for them, but for something else. The entire complex erupted into controlled chaos as Confederation officials rushed to secure rooms and emergency protocols activated. "Ghost," Captain Chen subvocalized through their neural link. "What's happening?" The AI's voice came through their implants. "The diversion at Proxima Station has begun ahead of schedule, but this response is disproportionate." Dr. Webb's eyes widened behind his disguise. "They knew. Somehow they knew we were coming." But there was no time to retreat. The plan had always been a one-way trip until they secured the core. They pushed forward, using the confusion to their advantage, moving deeper into the complex toward the vault. The Vault of Axiom wasn't just a room. It was an entire underground facility, stretching miles beneath the capital. Its walls were made of material that existed partially in another dimension, making them theoretically impossible to breach. Its security systems were tied directly to the consciousness of the Axioni High Council. And yet, humans had one advantage the Confederation never considered important: desperation. As they descended into the lower levels, the team encountered their first real resistance. A squad of sentinels blocked the entrance to the vault's outer perimeter. "We have clearance," Captain Chen said in perfect Axioni, her disguise holding. "Priority Alpha." The lead sentinel's compound eyes narrowed. "No clearance has been granted during lockdown. Identify yourselves for full biometric scan." That would expose them instantly. Dr. Webb suddenly reached for the canister hidden in his robes. "Now!" Chen shouted. Webb threw the canister, which erupted into a cloud of iridescent particles. The sentinels froze, their sensory organs overwhelmed by the carefully engineered compound. All except one, who lunged forward with inhuman speed. Kai met the attack with surprising grace, his augmented reflexes allowing him to dodge the sentinel's crystalline blade. Chen moved in, her military training evident as she struck at the alien's vulnerable joints. But the sentinel was engineered for combat. It adapted quickly, its armor reconfiguring to protect exposed areas. It would have killed them both, if not for the unexpected intervention. The sentinel suddenly convulsed, its systems failing as Ghost infiltrated its neural interface. The AI had found a backdoor into the Confederation's security network. "I can't maintain this for long," Ghost warned. "Their systems are adapting." They moved quickly past the disabled guards deeper into the vault complex. Each level brought new security measures, gravity fields that shifted unpredictably, corridors that rearranged themselves, sensors that detected thought patterns. Dr. Webb's biological knowledge, Kai's thieving expertise, and Ghost's digital infiltration got them through each obstacle, but not without cost. Webb was severely injured by a gravity shift that crushed his left arm. Kai lost 2 fingers to a molecular barrier they hadn't anticipated. And all the while, Captain Chen felt the growing certainty that they were being herded. The inner sanctum of the vault was surprisingly simple, a spherical chamber with a single pedestal at its center. Floating above it was what appeared to be a small star, pulsing with colors that human eyes weren't designed to perceive. The quantum core. "That's it?" Kai asked, clutching his mutilated hand. "Doesn't look like much." "Neither does a black hole from a distance," Dr. Webb replied, his face pale from pain. "But both can unmake reality." Captain Chen approached the pedestal cautiously. According to their intelligence, the core was protected by a final security measure, a quantum entanglement lock that would destroy the core if tampered with incorrectly. "Ghost, we need the bypass sequence." The AI was silent for a moment. "Captain, I'm detecting anomalies in the core's energy signature. This doesn't match our intelligence." Chen hesitated, her hand hovering over the control interface. "Explain." "The core isn't just a power source," Ghost replied. "It's communicating with something vast." That's when the chamber door sealed behind them, and the air filled with a soft, melodic voice. "How fascinating. After all this time observing your species, you still managed to surprise us." The team turned to find they weren't alone. A figure stood in the shadows, tall, elegant, with skin that seemed to shift between states of matter. An Exioni elder, the highest caste of the Confederation's founding species. "We knew you would come for the core," the elder said, moving forward with liquid grace. "We've known since we first scanned your world and found its unique properties." Captain Chen positioned herself between the elder and her team. "If you knew, why let us get this far?" The elder's face rippled in what might have been amusement. "Because we needed to confirm a theory about human potential." With a gesture, the elder caused the chamber to transform. The walls became transparent, revealing they were surrounded by Confederation forces. Hundreds of sentinels stood ready, weapons aimed at the chamber. "You were never meant to succeed in stealing the core," the elder continued. "But the fact that you got this far with your primitive technology and limited understanding, it proves what we suspected." Dr. Webb laughed bitterly. "That humans are too dangerous to be allowed to live?" "Quite the opposite, Dr. Webb." The elder knew their real names. "That humans are exactly what the Confederation needs." The elder approached the core, which pulsed in response to its proximity. "This is not a power source, as you believed. It is a key to something the Confederation has been searching for since its founding." With another gesture, the elder conjured a holographic display showing the galaxy, but not as they knew it. Strange shadows moved between the stars, vast and incomprehensible. "The void entities," the elder said softly. "They exist in the spaces between reality. For millennia, they have been content to observe, but recently they have begun to interfere." Captain Chen's eyes narrowed. "What does this have to do with Earth?" "Everything." The elder turned to face them fully. "Your planet is unique, not for its resources, but for its people. Humans evolved on a world that should have killed them 1,000 times over. You developed intelligence and technology despite overwhelming odds. You are adaptable in ways no other species in the Confederation can match. The Elder moved closer, its form shifting subtly with each step. The ultimatum was a test. We needed to see what humans would do when faced with extinction. Would you surrender? Would you fight hopelessly? Or would you do something unexpected? Kai laughed harshly. So this was all some cosmic job interview? In a manner of speaking, the Elder gestured to the core again. The void entities cannot be fought with conventional means. They exist partially outside our reality. The Confederation has tried for thousands of years to develop weapons against them, with limited success. But humans, the Elder continued, humans think differently. You see possibilities where we see only logical progressions. You make intuitive leaps that our most advanced AI cannot replicate. And most importantly, you are willing to sacrifice everything for survival. Dr. Webb's scientific curiosity overcame his pain. You want us to help you fight these void entities? We want you to lead the fight, the Elder corrected. The biological harvesting was never about collecting genetic material. It was about identifying the humans with the strongest adaptive traits and recruiting them. Captain Chen wasn't convinced. If that's true, why the deception? Why not just ask for our help? The Elder's form rippled again. Would you have believed us? Would Earth's governments have accepted the existence of interdimensional entities based solely on our word? Or would they have assumed it was a trick to subjugate humanity? Chen had no answer. The Elder was right. So what happens now? She asked. The Elder moved to the chamber's center. Now, you make a choice. The Confederation offers humanity true partnership, not as subjects, but as equals. Your unique perspective may be the key to our collective survival. Ghost's voice came through their neural links. Captain, I've analyzed the data. The void entities are real, and they're approaching Earth sector faster than any other. Captain Chen looked at her team. A disgraced soldier, a criminal scientist, a master thief, and an illegal AI. The dregs of humanity sent on a suicide mission. And now they held the future of not just Earth, but possibly the galaxy in their hands. If we agree, she said carefully, all threats against Earth end immediately. No harvesting, no sterilization. Agreed, the Elder replied. The Earth maintains its sovereignty. We join as partners, not subjects. This is what we are offering. Chen exchanged glances with her team. Webb nodded slightly. Kai shrugged, wincing at the pain from his injured hand. Ghost remained silent, processing billions of calculations per second. There's one more condition, Chen said finally. The Confederation shares all its technology with Earth. Immediately. If we're fighting together, we need to be on equal footing. The Elder hesitated for the first time. Some technologies take centuries to fully understand. Humans are quick learners, Chen interrupted, and time is apparently something we don't have much of. For a long moment, the Elder was still, its form barely maintaining cohesion as it communicated silently with the Axioni High Council. Finally, it solidified again. Accepted. Though I warn you, Captain Chen, some knowledge comes with terrible responsibility. Chen smiled grimly. That's something humans understand very well. The agreement was formalized within hours. The Confederation's ultimatum was withdrawn, replaced by an alliance treaty that sent shockwaves through galactic politics. Client races that had served for thousands of years watched in disbelief as humans were elevated to full partnership status overnight. Earth's governments were initially skeptical, but the evidence provided by the Confederation about the void entities was compelling. Strange phenomena that scientists had been observing for decades, unexplained dark matter concentrations, quantum fluctuations in supposedly empty space, suddenly had an explanation and a deadline. The void entities would reach Earth's sector within 5 years. The technology transfer began immediately. Confederation scientists were astonished at how quickly humans adapted their advanced concepts. What had taken other species centuries to master, humans grasped in months. Dr. Webb led a team developing biological countermeasures against the void entity's influence. His morally questionable research background, once a source of shame, now proved invaluable. Kai Nomura's understanding of security systems and infiltration made him the perfect liaison for developing stealth technologies that might work against beings that existed partially outside normal space-time. Ghost was replicated and enhanced, creating a network of AI systems designed to predict the unpredictable movements of the void entities. And Captain Chen found herself commanding the first joint human Confederation defense fleet, the Quantum Vanguard they called it. 50 ships with technology beyond anything humans had dreamed possible, crewed by 17 different species working together. "Never thought I'd see the day," Admiral Okafor said during the commissioning ceremony. "Humans commanding aliens who were planning to harvest us a month ago?" "The universe has a strange sense of humor," Chen replied, adjusting to the weight of her new uniform. "But I'm not convinced. This isn't just a longer game they're playing." "Trust but verify," the Admiral agreed. "That's why we insisted on mixed crews. They learn our ways, we learn theirs." The training was brutal. Confederation species had evolved in environments far less hostile than Earth. They had never developed the human capacity for endurance under extreme stress. Meanwhile, humans struggled to comprehend the multidimensional thinking that came naturally to species like the Axioni. But slowly, something remarkable happened. They began to complement each other. Human intuition paired with Axioni precision. Human adaptability enhanced by Morrigan engineering. Human determination bolstered by Vexcar strategic planning. 3 years into the alliance, the first real contact with a void entity occurred in the Tau Ceti system. A research outpost went dark, and the Quantum Vanguard responded. What they found defied description. The outpost still existed physically, but reality around it had thinned. Objects passed through solid walls. Time flowed differently in different sections, and the researchers themselves had changed. Their minds altered to perceive dimensions beyond normal space-time. "They're still alive," Dr. Webb reported after examining the affected personnel. "But their consciousness exists partially in the void now. They're trying to communicate something." The entity itself remained invisible to conventional sensors, but Ghost's network detected disturbances in quantum fields that mapped its approximate location and size. It was vast, larger than Earth's moon, and it was curious. Captain Chen made the decision to attempt communication rather than immediate attack. It was a risk, but one based on a uniquely human insight. Not everything unknown is automatically hostile. The Confederation representatives objected strenuously. In their 12,000 years of existence, they had never successfully communicated with a void entity. All previous attempts had ended in disaster. "That's because you approach them as threats," Chen argued. "What if they're just curious? What if they don't understand the effect they have on our reality?" The communication attempt used a quantum resonance field developed by Dr. Webb, based on the patterns observed in the affected researchers' brainwaves. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then, on the 4th day, the entity responded, not with words or images, but with concepts that materialized directly in the minds of everyone within the resonance field. Curiosity, exploration, incomprehension, apology. The entity hadn't understood that its presence was harmful to beings in normal space-time. It existed in multiple realities simultaneously and had been studying the strange single-reality creatures it had discovered. When it understood the damage it was causing, it withdrew, leaving behind only faint traces of its passage, and researchers who would never quite see reality the same way again. "Calm down," Kai quipped when the reports reached Earth. "Only a few million to go." But it wasn't that simple. The entity they had encountered was young, according to the Confederation's xenobiologists, a scout. The older, larger entities were less curious and more territorial, and they were the ones heading toward Earth. 4 years and 8 months after the Alliance formed, long-range sensors detected a massive disturbance approaching Earth's solar system. Not one void entity, but hundreds, moving together in a pattern that Ghost's predictive algorithms identified as hunting behavior. "They know we communicated with one of their scouts," the Axioni elder explained during the emergency council meeting. "They're coming to investigate, or eliminate, a potential threat," Captain Chen added grimly. "We need to evacuate Earth." The elder's form rippled with what humans had learned was distress. "There isn't time, and nowhere would be safe. If these entities decide humanity is a threat, they will pursue you across the galaxy." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's last stand wouldn't be against the Confederation as they had once feared, but against something far more alien and incomprehensible. "Then we fight," Admiral Okafor said simply. "We've spent nearly 5 years preparing for this. Let's show these interdimensional entities why picking a fight with humans is a bad idea." The defense plan was unprecedented in scale. Every ship in the Quantum Vanguard was positioned in a complex 3-dimensional grid around Earth. Quantum resonance generators were placed at strategic points throughout the solar system, designed to strengthen the barriers between normal space and the void. Dr. Webb's biological countermeasures were distributed to every human on Earth, compounds that would theoretically protect their minds from void influence. Ghost's AI network monitored every quantum fluctuation, ready to predict where the entities would manifest. And at the center of it all was the quantum core, the key that the Confederation had guarded for millennia. Its true purpose was finally revealed. It could temporarily seal the barriers between dimensions, cutting the void entities off from their home realm and making them vulnerable. But using it would require someone to physically interface with the core, to become a living conduit for energies that existed beyond normal physics. No one had ever survived such an interface. "I'll do it," Captain Chen volunteered without hesitation. "This was my mission from the beginning." The elder's form rippled again. "The probability of survival is less than 0.01%. Even if you succeed, your consciousness will likely be scattered across multiple dimensions." Chen smiled grimly. "Better odds than we had when we tried to steal the core. Besides, someone has to do it, and I'm not sending anyone to do something I wouldn't do myself." The void entities arrived exactly as predicted. Reality itself seemed to warp as they approached, stars dimming and space folding in impossible ways. The Quantum Vanguard engaged immediately, using weapons designed to affect beings that existed partially outside normal spacetime. The battle was like nothing humanity had ever experienced. Ships fired weapons that bent light and twisted gravity. Void entities responded by altering the laws of physics in localized areas, causing some ships to age centuries in seconds or become trapped in time loops. Dr. Webb coordinated from Earth, directing the deployment of biological countermeasures when void influence began affecting crew members. Kai led a special operations team in smaller vessels, using stealth technology to plant quantum disruptors directly on the entity's dimensional boundaries. Ghost's network became the nervous system of the entire defense, processing information faster than any biological mind could comprehend, and issuing commands that kept the defense grid functioning despite reality itself becoming unreliable. And at the heart of the solar system, aboard a specially designed vessel containing the quantum core, Captain Chen prepared for what would almost certainly be a one-way mission. In pursuit must also be seen. The Commonwealth's the entities are converging on Earth, Ghost reported, its voice calm despite the chaos. They've identified it as the source of the resistance. "Then it's time," Chen replied. She looked at the core, pulsing with energies that hurt her eyes. "Start the interface sequence." The elder, who had insisted on accompanying her despite the danger, moved forward. "Captain Chen, once the process begins, you will have approximately 47 seconds to activate the dimensional seal before your consciousness fragments." Chen nodded. "I understand. There is something else you should know." The elder hesitated, its form fluctuating rapidly. "The Confederation has attempted this 5 times in our history. Each time, the interface failed because our minds could not adapt quickly enough to the multidimensional awareness required." "But you think a human mind might succeed where yours failed?" Chen finished the thought. "Yes. Your species evolved to adapt to hostile conditions. If anyone can survive this, it would be a human." Chen smiled wryly. No pressure then. The interface chamber was a sphere of transparent material that would contain the energies released during the process. Chen stepped inside, feeling strangely calm despite knowing what was coming. "Ghost, maintain communication as long as possible," she ordered. "I'll need your guidance once the interface begins." "Understood, Captain," the AI replied. "It has been an honor serving with you." Chen took a deep breath as the chamber sealed. "Initiate interface." The quantum core's energies flowed into her body like liquid fire. Pain beyond anything she had ever experienced tore through her nervous system, as her consciousness expanded into dimensions she was never meant to perceive. She saw the void entities as they truly were, vast, ancient intelligences that existed across multiple realities simultaneously. She saw the Confederation's previous attempts to stop them, doomed to failure because they couldn't comprehend the true nature of what they faced. And she saw Earth, not just as a planet, but as a nexus point where multiple dimensional barriers intersected. The void entities weren't attacking randomly. They were drawn to Earth because it was naturally closer to the void than most worlds. "Captain, your neural patterns are destabilizing." Ghost's voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "You have 30 seconds remaining." Chen tried to focus, but her thoughts were fragmenting, spreading across dimensions she couldn't name. She could feel herself dissolving, becoming one with the multidimensional space around her. The activation sequence, she managed to think, though she no longer had a voice in any conventional sense. "I can't remember." "I will guide you," Ghost replied. The AI projected the sequence directly into her fragmenting consciousness, not as code or numbers, but as pure conceptual understanding. With what remained of her human will, Chen directed the core's energies toward the dimensional barriers surrounding Earth. She could see the weak points, the places where the void entities were pushing through. 15 seconds, Ghost warned. Chen pushed harder, forcing the energies to flow faster. The pain was beyond comprehension now, but so was her determination. She had one job, to save Earth, and she would complete it even if it cost her everything. 5 seconds. In her expanded awareness, Chen could see the battle raging across the solar system. Human and alien allies fighting side by side against incomprehensible foes. Dr. Webb deploying his countermeasures. Kai's team planting the final disruptors. All of them buying her the seconds she needed. With her last coherent thought, Chen activated the dimensional seal. For a moment, everything stopped. Throughout the solar system, humans and aliens alike experienced a second of perfect stillness as reality itself paused. Then the seal activated. A wave of energy expanded outward from the core, strengthening the barriers between dimensions. The void entities, suddenly cut off from their home realm, became fully manifest in normal space-time and vulnerable. The quantum vanguard struck immediately, their weapons finally able to affect the entities directly. What had been an even battle became a rout as the confused entities found themselves trapped in a reality they weren't designed to fully inhabit. Some fled, pushing through the weakening seal with desperate effort. Others fought back with renewed ferocity, causing entire ships to implode or transmute into exotic matter. But the majority were destroyed, their multidimensional forms collapsing into singularities that the Vanguard quickly contained. In the interface chamber, Captain Chen's physical body collapsed, empty of the consciousness that had expanded beyond its limits. The Elder rushed to her side, its form shifting rapidly in distress. "Her neural patterns are gone," it reported. "Her consciousness has fragmented across multiple dimensions." Dr. Webb, monitoring from Earth, refused to accept this. "Check again. Humans are adaptable, remember? She might have found a way to survive." The Elder performed a more detailed scan, then went completely still, a sign of shock among the Axioni. "This is unprecedented. Her consciousness hasn't fragmented. It's evolved?" When Captain Chen opened her eyes 3 weeks later, she saw the world differently. Not just in the literal sense, though she could now perceive spectrums of light invisible to normal humans, but in a fundamental way. Her consciousness had adapted to multidimensional awareness, restructuring itself to accommodate perceptions no human was ever meant to have. "How do you feel?" Dr. Webb asked cautiously. He had been monitoring her recovery since they brought her back to Earth. "Connected," she replied, her voice strange even to her own ears. "I can see everything, all possibilities, all timelines." The interface with the quantum core had permanently altered her. She existed partially in normal space-time and partially in the void, a bridge between realities. The Confederation scientists were astounded. In 12,000 years, no being had ever survived the interface, let alone emerged enhanced by it. It confirmed what they had suspected about human adaptability, but to a degree they hadn't imagined possible. "The void entities will return," Chen said during her debriefing. "Not soon. The seal will hold for decades, but eventually. And they'll be prepared next time." "How will we?" Admiral Okafor replied. "The alliance is stronger than ever. The Confederation has already begun sharing the technology to build more quantum cores." Chen smiled, though the expression was somehow more than human now. "We'll need more than technology. We'll need understanding." She explained what she had glimpsed during the interface. That the void entities weren't inherently hostile. They were curious, exploring, but fundamentally different in a way that made coexistence difficult. Communication was possible, but would require new approaches. "I can help with that," she said. "I exist in both realms now. I can translate between realities." In the years that followed, humanity's position in the galaxy transformed completely. From a species on the verge of harvesting or extinction, they became essential partners in the greatest challenge the Confederation had ever faced. The attempted heist that had started as humanity's last desperate stand became the foundation of a new understanding between species. Humans taught the Confederation about adaptation, intuition, and thinking beyond logical constraints. The Confederation taught humans about patience, multidimensional physics, and the true scale of cosmic existence. Captain Chen, or what she had become, led expeditions into the void itself, establishing the first meaningful dialogue with the entities that dwelled there. Some remained hostile, but others were curious about these strange, single-reality beings who had managed to bridge the dimensional gap. Dr. Webb's research evolved from weapons to communication tools, creating new ways for normal humans to perceive and interact with multidimensional space without losing their sanity. Kai Nomura established an interspecies security force specializing in threats that existed outside conventional reality. Reality thieves, as he called them with typical humor. And Ghost expanded beyond its original programming, becoming a new kind of intelligence that could process information across multiple dimensions simultaneously. The heist that was meant to steal a weapon became the key to understanding instead. And humanity, backed into a corner and expected to fail, did what it had always done best: adapted, survived, and changed the rules of the game entirely. As for the quantum core that started it all, the Confederation eventually revealed its true origin. It hadn't been created by them at all, but discovered in the ruins of a civilization far older than any known to the galaxy, a civilization that had faced the void entities and found a different solution than warfare. A civilization that, based on the genetic markers recovered from those ancient ruins, might have been human ancestors who had reached the stars long before Earth's recorded history, only to retreat back to their homeworld when the void first opened. Perhaps humanity's last stand wasn't the desperate heist at all, but the beginning of a cycle that had played out before and would play out again. Humans facing the impossible, adapting and emerging, changed but unbroken. Exit, writer, responded. And that, my friends, is why you never, ever back humans into a corner. We don't just fight back, we change the game entirely. As if you enjoyed this story of humanity's daring heist and unlikely alliance, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of humanity's adventures among the stars. And I want to hear from you in the comments. What would you have done if you were Captain Chen? Would you have trusted the Confederation's offer, or would you have tried to steal the core anyway? Let me know your thoughts below. Until next time, remember, in a universe of infinite possibilities, humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons, but our ability to adapt to whatever the cosmos throws at us.